Please join me in saying, life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
Hi, and welcome to worship with First Church. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and it is my great joy and my deep honor to serve you as your minister. This is a wonderful service that we have for you today, a celebration of our relationship with our partner church, and we hear some really wonderful stories and testimonials from them, which is really exciting. And as always, so many wonderful things happening in the life of the church. It's a very full and fascinating moment. So I want to lift up just a couple of those things before we get going. The first off is that we have a UU theology class, which is starting this week following the posting of this video, and you can join and get more information by contacting Cora McCold. More information about that is on the website and in the Unitarian, which chances are you get. You can always reach out to me for more information about that as well. So that's on the 21st, on the Thursday. And then a very exciting class is coming. It's a cooking class, First Church Cooks. All together, you get to sign up. It's going to happen on the 24th is the first one. And that is you're gonna get recipe ahead of time, and you can either cook along with other folks all at once, or you can just tune in and watch as other people cook and talk and connect. So Jane Manassian's gonna be leading that. So you can reach out to Jane or to Lillian Anderson, our adult programs person, for more information on that. And lots of other groups also. In the next many weeks, we also will be having the Committee on Ministries hosting the next round of our listening circles. This is an opportunity to connect with me and the Committee on Ministry and reflect a little bit on this moment and look to the next couple moments coming and sort of check in. We do this every year, just an opportunity to get feedback and hear from people. So do please stay tuned. There'll be a number of different opportunities to sign up for one that fits into your schedule. So we look forward to seeing you there, and even more so, are so grateful to have you here right now. So come, let us worship together.
Here are the Wheel of Life statistics for Deshvalva. Child dedications. Molnar Matyash, born November 24th, 2019, dedicated August 29th, 2020. Iyesh Vivian, born May 8th, 2020, dedicated September 5th, 2020.
Here are the births. Simon Leo Koltoff, born March 11th, 2020.
There were no coming of age students this year in Deshvalva.
Here are the coming of ages. Luke Fitzpatrick, Jabe Hicks, Lem Hicks, Kavya Thomas, Brennan Thompson, Flynn Coyne, Charlotte DeVekis, Holly Lair, Lulu Conroy, Theo Gallagher, Devin Malkin, Layla Burnbeck, Lisandra Hawkinson.
There were no weddings this year in Deshvalva.
The weddings. Ian Garvey and Claire McNamara, August 16th, 2020. Stuart Carter and Elizabeth Archer, August 10th, 2020.
The following are the list of people who died this year. Antal Katalin, age 86, March 9th, 2020. Beresh Shandor, age 60, August 20th. Bodhi Arjebat, age 82, August 24th. Bodhi Irma, age 94, September 1st. Tamashi Anna, age 62, December 11th.
And the deaths. Rebecca Hankey, March 13th, 2020. Betty Law, April 24th, 2020. Henry Hall, July 11th, 2020. Penny Schaefer, August 26th, 2020. Katya Novin, September 13th, 2020. Laura Miller, November 28th, 2020.
My name is Kish Katalin. I was born 1940, December 12th, here in the village. My mother was Unitarian, so that's how I ended up in the Unitarian Church. I didn't meet my father until I was 7 years old, because at the time, if you were of Hungarian descent, it was dangerous for you. He escaped to Hungary and didn't come back until 1947. I only finished 4th grade because that's as far as you can study here in Deshvalva, even today. My beloved husband died in 2004. He was a staunch Unitarian his whole life, so our children were brought up strongly Unitarian. During communism, before the regime change in 1989, we had some very difficult times. Probably the person who had the hardest time was the minister. Every community leader was constantly under surveillance. My husband told me that when it was time for his coming of age ceremony in 9th grade, that day the Secret Service came and took the minister away. Their class just waited there in the church, not knowing if they were going to have a service that day. Eventually, the minister was allowed to come back home. It was a difficult time. How did we get through? We prayed a lot and we stuck together. To this day, I would never miss a Sunday service remembering those times. We knew instinctively that the only way to make it through is together. We had to stand up for each other, protect each other, and help each other. Of course, in those days, it was easier in some ways. We had no TV, no phone, no internet, no distractions. People's family and community and church were the most important.
I'm Kish Ishvan. I was born May 24th, 1946, 5 days before I was, in Deshvala to a Unitarian family. There were 4 of us siblings. We went to school in a one-room schoolhouse through 4th grade. Then, unlike so many, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to continue my studies in Ditsharsat Madorn. That's where I met my beloved wife, who is no longer with us. We had 2 children together, both of whom are Unitarians. I was president of the board of lay leaders for 32 years. And now I'm proud to say my son has been elected to the same position. Certainly, the years before regime change were not easy for anyone. We lived in constant intimidation from officials. We were not allowed to celebrate anything in our church. For example, we were never allowed to celebrate a lunch together. Anyone in a leadership role, like the minister, who was essentially the mayor of our village, and the lay leader, for example, was constantly watched. We could not speak our language or use our flag, even indoors, which we at least are allowed to do today. And we were not allowed to take on any construction projects or do anything that might improve the appearance of our church or its surroundings. Donations to the church or the congregation were confiscated, and the lands were appropriated by the state. Much of this has not been returned to this day. However, all of this oppression just made us want to stick together and protect our community even more. We found ways to meet in people's basements in the dark. My feeling is, if something is important to you, you will find a way to make it a priority. For us, this was our church, our language, our faith, our community. Of course, I was born in the community, so it was natural to me that we did everything we could to preserve the community. It was my duty and my calling, and I hope it is my son's, to make sure this community thrives.
My name is Mona Maria Magdona, and I was born in 1948 far away from here in the village of Gimeshvalsherlock. My mother was Catholic and my father was Reformed. I grew up as a Catholic but stopped practicing my faith in high school when I had too many questions. Later, I met my husband, who was Unitarian. I love the Unitarian faith, and that's how I became Unitarian myself. I'm so happy that I adopted my husband's faith, and that our children and grandchildren, and quite recently, even my little great-grandson was dedicated in the church. Life was good until my husband died unexpectedly. It was a huge blow for me, and I'm so grateful to the church, especially to the Women's Alliance, which got me through. If I look back in the years before 1989, it was very difficult to be part of any kind of church community, or indeed to be part of the so-called intellectual class. My father was a teacher, and because of the rampant anti-intellectualism of the government, we knew he was constantly under surveillance. This never deterred him from providing a liberal and broad-minded education to his students. If anything, it made him even more determined. I remember very well that we could not have child dedications, coming of age services, or weddings at the church. Our own wedding was held in secret at the minister's living room. Our songs, our dances, our traditions, our education, and most of all, our church community are the things that sustained us in those years and reminded us that there's still decency and kindness in the world.
Hi, my name is Douglas Masita, and I'm honored to serve you as a member of the Parish Board. This is the time in our service where we invite an offering to help support the work of the church and our partners around the wider world. For the whole month of January, all our worship offerings will be shared with our partner church. You can make an online offering. Just go to uubelmont.org/giving, or you can always send a check to the church with worship in the memo line. Thank you so much for your generous support. It means so much, especially now.
Like the poet says, cast your vision here, in the midst of the hardest moment. For this world coming undone, this world divided, be generous with your dreaming. All paths to the future are born of this courage. This is a hard moment we are facing. With the virus raging, with the nation in turmoil, with so much unknown. I am so grateful for the stories of our partners in Transylvania. So grateful for the image of people gathering, connecting, making it through that unimaginably hard time. Secret weddings in living rooms, ministers taken away, leaders under surveillance, meetings in dark basements, making a way forward and a way through the hardest times. I'm so grateful for these stories, for our long relationship with our partners, and all their strength and courage can teach us today. I find in these times I am nourished somewhere deep down by these stories of perseverance and liberation. I find that I am turning to my core stories, taking out books and teachings which have been with me over and over for my entire life. When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron, and this story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He preached this story a number of times, once just before he died. It begins with a death threat, a phone call, particularly menacing, which he got late at night. He says, I got out of bed and began to walk the floor. I had heard these things before, but for some reason that night it got to me. I turned it over and over. I tried to go to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was frustrated, bewildered, and then I got up. Finally went to the kitchen and heated a pot of coffee. I was ready to give up. With my coffee sitting untouched before me, I tried to think of a way to move out of the picture without appearing a coward. I sat there and thought about my beautiful little daughter who was just born. I'd come in night after night and see that gentle little smile. I started thinking about a dedicated and loyal wife who was over there asleep, and she could be taken from me or I taken from her. And I got to the point that I couldn't take it any longer. I was weak. And something said, you can't call on daddy now. You can't even call on mama. You've got to call on that something, that person that your daddy used to tell you about, that power that can make a way out of no way. With my head in my hands, I bowed over the kitchen table and prayed aloud. The words I spoke to God that midnight are still vivid in my memory. Lord, I am down here trying to do what's right. I think I'm right. I'm here taking a stand for what I believe is right, but Lord, I must confess that I am weak now. I am faltering. I am losing my courage. I am afraid. And I can't let the people see like this, because when they see me weak and losing my courage, they will begin to get weak. The people are looking to me for leadership, and if I stand before them without strength and courage, they too will falter. I am at the end of my powers. I have nothing left. I've come to the point where I can't face it alone. It seemed to me as though I could hear the quiet assurance of an inner voice saying, Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. And lo, I will be with you, even until the end of the world. I tell you, I have seen the lightning flash. I've heard the thunder roar. I've felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul, but I heard the voice of Jesus saying still to fight on. He promised never to leave me alone. And that moment I experienced the presence of the divine as I have never experienced him before. Almost all at once my fears began to go, my certainty appeared. I was ready to face anything. Friends, we are in that kind of moment. We are facing this kind of threat. And from these teachers, we see a way forward. The poet reminds us to be courageous in this moment, to dream deep even now, especially now. And our cousins in Transylvania remind us of the power of community and connection to get us through this together. And Dr. King reminds us to reach out to what we most deeply know to be true, to reach out in contemplation and prayer and practice to find the strength which is always there. Know, dear people, that you are held. Know that this hard time is just one of many hard times we have faced as a human family, not the first nor the last. And that we will, as we have before, make it through. And we will make it through stronger, clearer, more connected, more beautiful, and more whole. I have so much faith in you, in all of us. So much love to you all. Amen. We give thanks for coming of age classes waiting when the minister is taken away, for praying a lot and sticking together. We give thanks for meetings in the basement in the dark, for finding a way to make what is important to you a priority, for the duty and calling of making sure the community thrives. We give thanks for providing a liberal, broad-minded education for our children, even under surveillance, knowing the danger and the cost. We give thanks for songs, dances, traditions, and community getting us through. We give thanks for cups of coffee at the kitchen table at midnight, for calling out in prayer and listening, for knowing what holds us in the hardest times. We give thanks for casting our vision in the middle of the hardest moment, for our wildest dreams, our audacious aims. We give thanks for this courage of imagination, for all it makes possible. So much love to you all. Amen.
There